Hi everyone, I'm Sanjana and I have Yaagneshwaran with me today. Hi Yaag, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Sanjana. A long time, and it's good to catch up with you.
Same here, looking forward. Today we're talking to Yaag about inbound and content strategy in the post-GPT era. And let me introduce Yaag to you. Yaag is an award-winning marketer, an author, podcaster, and a TEDx speaker. And Yaag is the founder at SaaS Sprints currently. It's a content marketing agency for B2B SaaS. So he enjoys helping early stage startups with their content, more especially in building their narrative and category. And he's also a best-selling author of 8 books, with the latest one titled The Collaborative Grow. So yeah, this is about Yaag, and now I think it's time to jump into the discussion. And I wanted to start with a big question, I would say, which is, what's your brand building secret? Like, how did you build an amazing brand for Avoma while competing against a giant player like Gong? I would like to start with
Sure.
that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And Avoma was at a very interesting phase when I joined, right? So not many people knew Avoma at that time. So again, there's no real secret to anything in brand or marketing. It's just about being consistent with what you do and do it again and again. It's like doing going to that practice for a game time and again. It might look boring, but you keep doing that again and again. So in that early stage, we were producing lots of content where we were
Yeah,
looking at what are the topics that is relevant to us and what are the topics that will put us into the map so that people get to know about us. So it is very easy to go on and start comparing Avoma with Gong, Avoma with Chorus and all of that. So instead, we took a different route. We said that, hey, you know what? People who are evaluating Gong are evaluating Chorus. People who are evaluating Chorus are also looking at Gong. Let's rather, offer these genuine comparisons, not trying to put them down or anything, but genuinely give the audience a pulse of who should go for Gong, who should go for Chorus, so on and so forth. And in that journey, we said that what are these two guys missing, and spoke about a couple of features that Avoma had, without coming across as a company trying to promote Avoma and nothing else. Because the idea is like the moment somebody looks at our domain avoma.com and
yeah,
then they are going to look at saying that Avoma versus Gong, they're going to obviously start with the mindset that these guys are going to one up the competition. So we did not want to do that. We wanted to be genuinely helpful for the audience. And majority of the topics that we picked up were more towards mid funnel and bottom funnel, in the sense that we were listening to the calls on a daily basis. So the kind of questions that we were getting, our AEs were getting, our SDRs were getting. So those were direct inputs that we started taking, and we said, hey, these are the questions that we should have answer for on the website, right? So we started building our podcast. We started building our content resource funnel, and not just catering to our existing customers, but to look at what we can do to help people who are potential users of our product, even though it's not about Avoma all the time. So that's how we went about it.
that's amazing. And I'm just curious, like, how long did it take for you to come up with a plan or like, strategize how we are gonna compete with a player like Gong and then like create a plan out of it and then execute that? And then when did you realize that, we are there, you know?
Well, I don't know if to say that are we there or not yet. It's for the
You
market to
are there.
decide. But
That's why I have a question like this.
well, the point is this, right? So it did not see, in a startup you cannot plan for a long time. So our CEO back then, Aditya, he used to say that, hey, if we can do something in a quarter, we should be able to do this in a month. And if we are planning something for a month, you should be able to do it in a week. And if you're planning something for a week or for a sprint, plan it in days. So that
Okay.
was the mandate. And the moment you look at it, we were when I joined Avoma, it was just in the era of COVID. So obviously everybody was working from home, and we were not able to plan anything like for more than a quarter at least.
Mhm.
You never know what's going to happen, how things are going to
Yeah.
move, and it kept us on the toes. And we always were looking at, okay, this is what it is, and let's try and do this experiment. Let's try and fail fast. At the same time, while we were failing fast, it's not about coming up with new experiments and failing, but it was trying to understand what exactly did not work, right? So you have to do something at depth and with the right quality, and then understand where it is dropping. Is it that the message is not resonating with somebody? Is it that we are promoting to the wrong audience? Or is it that the story is not right? So what is working, what is not working? And many of these things were actually derived from anecdotal conversations, in the sense, we were not heavily reliant on analytics at that point, because when you're fresh and new, you don't have a lot of data to go back and look at. You rather rely on conversations and take those bets. For example, one of the simplest experiment that we did on our Avoma blog was that instead of having the traditional share buttons that everybody used to have on the website, we said, hey, when was the last time somebody would go to a social or SaaS company's website and say, hey, I want to share this on my Facebook, I want to share this on my LinkedIn? Never really happens. So when I spoke to a lot of our customers and blog readers, I realized that three things usually fell in place. One was people would skim it, because let's say, for example, if you're reading an article which has about 8 points on something, I'm not necessarily talking about a listicle, but it could be an 8-step thing. So what would happen is people would probably know 4 or 5. And there would be just one or two things that they would say, oh, I didn't know this, let me go and try this out. So first, they would skim and see if there is something new that they can learn from it. Number two, if at all they found something really useful and they wanted their team to implement, they would copy the URL and share it in their Slack or any other internal tool, and that's about it. So these two things happened, and I realized that, okay, then why are we having these share buttons? We instead came up with a small scrollable TOC box on the side that helped us scroll, and then remove the social media share and just put one small box saying that, hey, did you find this article useful? Do you want to share it with your team? And small button called copy URL. So that when you click on it, it directly copied, and it also had our UTM code so that we could track it. And that's about it. Very soon we realized that a lot of direct traffic were coming from those UTM codes, and it made sense that, hey, this is the actual habit. So these are smaller things that we kept doing, and ultimately that gave us the larger results than saying that there was one big strategic move that actually made an impact.
Really, really interesting. Awesome. So coming to the main topic, right, which is, content strategy in the post-GPT era. The question that I have is, with ChatGPT and other AI tools, companies have, started to churn out more blogs every month. So do you think, creating more content like this helps in this era? Like, what's your take on it?
Yeah, so it's an interesting time to talk about all things ChatGPT, given what is going on with OpenAI right now.
Yeah.
But see, interestingly, the way I would say is that yes, definitely a lot of companies have started to rely on ChatGPT and created more content. But I would say there is always a difference between content that is functional and a content that is really useful to the audience. Now, what I mean by functional is there are n number of tools to create as well as optimize content right now, but while that is there, it'll help you rank. So you go on and search on any topic, you will find those 2 or 3 people always ranking in the top 5. But does it really help you to answer that question? Is it important about ranking? Yes, gone are the days where we thought about, hey, if you were on page 1, you get this much amount of traffic, if you're on the top 3, you get this much amount of traffic. While that might still be true to an extent, but that is not completely it, right? So at the end of the day, even if you rank, the moment you come into that page and start reading that content or consuming that content, be it a video or anything for that matter, if you don't find that really useful and solving what you're actually looking for, it falls flat on your face. And that is something we did not want to do. Exactly what I would say about ChatGPT as well. It is great to use a tool like that to accelerate something. But at the end of the day, if you don't start with a point of view that you want to put forth, and if you don't have clarity as to what exactly are you going to deliver through that content, I would say start with a simple, document or one pager template to say that, hey, who is this for? What are they going to get at the end of this piece? What action do I want them to take? And what exactly am I solving for them? So those fundamental 5 or 6 questions that you put down and then start addressing that with your content, that becomes far more useful. You can use ChatGPT to scale, but ChatGPT is not going to give you the strategy, or it's not going to give you the, it's not a content strategy by itself. It is just a tool that helps you move faster.
Yeah, okay, got it. So, uh, do you also think that maybe like we can use these tools to like come up with SEO focused blogs, for example, and then like in-depth blogs, those can be written by the team, the internal team, and then the other blogs like SEO focused blogs can be like written by these tools. Do you think that's a good approach?
See, you can use them even for your thought leadership pieces, but
Okay.
use it in the right proportions. Just by giving a couple of prompts and expecting it to give you a full-fledged blog
Yeah.
post and trying to post it as it is
Yeah,
never going to
that's not
work.
gonna work. Yeah.
Yeah. So even with SEO content, right? So SEO content, to a large extent, what people think is the moment they say SEO content, it's again, it also has to have some purpose. The purpose of SEO content is not just to rank. It is to, for example, if it's a CRM company and they're writing an article on what is CRM, what is the use of it? And second thing is that it depends on the stage of where you are. So, for
Okay.
example, if somebody like a HubSpot or a Salesforce is doing that, that's absolutely fine because they are at that scale and they can write on anything and everything. They can write about creating a GIF, they can write about creating a meme, anything will work. But for a relatively newer company, the company that is 4 or 5 years old, or even a startup that is less than 1 year old, you have to look at creating content that resonates with your audience. You have to first build bottom of the funnel, then you have to build product led content, and then from there, as you arrive at a particular scale, then you go on building pillars of content as well, and then you start expanding to top of the funnel topics. But the moment you think SEO content right off the bat, you're thinking that, okay, the age old concept of somebody is going to consume 5 6 pieces of content and then they're going to arrive at a buying decision, there is going to be consideration, so on and so forth. It doesn't work that way
Okay.
anymore. It's more about somebody goes, consumes a piece of content because they want to solve something. Think of it this way. The moment somebody tells me that, hey, I need to increase the revenue of this particular product by 25% by the end of this year,
Mm.
now I already know that that's my target. If that impacts the messaging, right? So if somebody gives me a message on their website that, hey, I'll increase your this thing by 25% or 50%, I don't want to know that. I know what my target is. I want to know,
Got it.
how do I go about
How to,
solving that?
yeah.
Yeah. And then you show me how are you different from somebody else. So those are the aspects to focus on. And SEO is great when you hit a particular scale, not at the beginning, I would say.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. The reason I ask this question is because I'm seeing a lot of companies, doing this. They are using these tools to churn out more blogs every month, and then they're also telling me that they're getting good results out of it. And like then I had a question, which is, will Google penalize the AI written content? Like, what's the case there?
Yeah. So I don't think Google will penalize per se. See, the point is that your content needs to be differentiated. So
Okay.
just because some Google is all the more happier, the more content comes out and it gets more space to rank, and then the more content also means that there are more spaces to even run their ads, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that is great. But on the contrary, the point is it where does it help, right? So comes back to several questions like, okay, now, in fact, while in the initial days of SaaS Sprints, I used to get certain queries where somebody used to say that, hey, Yaag, can you create 25 blogs for me, each blog at $100? I'm like, I don't do that. If you want to do that, you can probably use a tool and do that. I'm here to come up with a content marketing strategy. Then, of course, I will also deliver you on the content, but it depends on where you want to be, and I'm more measured by the results that I would like to achieve,
Mm.
and not just number of pieces of content per se. So when somebody tells
Yeah.
you that they're also seeing results, it's they're probably telling you that we are ranking for more keywords now, but the point is, are you ranking for relevant keywords? And
Okay.
what's happening after those keywords? What are the action that people are see? Either, even if you're creating SEO content, people should get to know your company and get to know what you stand for. Or if you're creating product-led or bottom funnel content, it should drive people to take some action. If none of it is happening and it's not moving in the direction of where you want to go, either by building a brand or by selling your product or building that subscription model, then it's really not helping.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. And like speaking of results, right? As a head of content, what results do you usually like care about on a day-to-day or on a weekly basis? What do you measure on a weekly basis, let's say?
Yeah. So typically, if you're starting fresh, I would highly measure it based on the monthly traffic, because initially you want to build that momentum and get that traffic going. You want to set up a target like, say, increase of 25% traffic month on month or something like that. And then going forward, you want to look at what are the number of trial signups that you get, what are the number of demo bookings that you get. So these becomes like, once the basic content engine is set up, like say you're 2-3 months into the line, there are some set of content that is existing, then you want to start measuring at these things. And then over a period of time, you also want to look at how do you fare in terms of your content pillars. Now let's say if you are a conversation intelligence tool, there are set of keywords around, say, meeting transcription or call recording, or there are things around revenue intelligence or sales coaching. So there are going to be each of these pillars that come up, and under those pillars, what are the different content topics that you're going to build. And then you start looking at, okay, if anything under this pillar, am I among the top 3 or 4 that is ranking for it? Then you are in the conversation for that. So when I say content pillar, I'm also talking about the specific problems that you solve for or you want to be known for. Now, just to give you an idea, at Avoma, we built a pillar for sales coaching. And that coaching, again, everybody else was talking about coaching from the standpoint of listening to the calls and then saying that, hey, as a VP, I would listen to the call. I would give feedback to my AEs and SDRs as to where they need to fix a few things and how they can improve and build that feedback loop. Now, at Avoma, we came up with a unique angle. We said we are building we have built an AI coaching assistant. And the idea was to say this, that we looked at data and we realized that at least a 75% of VP of sales who have invested on a conversation intelligence tool had never gone on to listen calls of their sales team. And it is logical, because let's say you have a team of 5 AEs, and each of them have about 5 demos per day, and each demo goes on to about 30 minutes. You're probably spending 750 minutes of demos every single day. Now, can you hear that on a daily basis and arrive at a decision as to who's going to solve for it and what is going wrong here, what should I fix? And okay, even if you're picking 1 or 2 random calls, on what basis are you picking them? You might pick up one call and it might be a great call and you might feel that everybody is doing good, or you might pick up one random worst call and you might think that everybody's going wrong in that exact manner. So we said AI is going to come up with this thing of, it's going to automatically listen to all the calls and give ratings. And based on the lower ratings, you can start listening to it and fix that problem. So as you build the pillar, you get unique ideas as to what are the industry gaps, and you can actually go back and feed into the product ecosystem and talk about that. And it can sometimes lead to that as well. So at the end of the day, where I'm getting at is, yes, obviously, revenue is number one, so which directly maps onto your trial signups and demos. But depending on the stage, you might want to look at pillars, you might want to look at traffic, you might also want to look at market presence of certain topics and thought leadership as well.
Amazing insights. All right, so one last question before I end the conversation. So now that you've founded your content marketing agency, you must be working on a lot of content strategy for different companies, right? So the question is, after ChatGPT, do you think there has been a change in how the strategy is defined, like the content strategy is defined, or do you think it's the same as before?
No, I don't think nothing has changed much in this aspect, because see, ChatGPT per se is definitely not going to give you a strategy. It's going to probably, if you have certain inputs that you're going to say that, hey, if this is the topic and these are the 5 things that I want to talk about it, and it can generate the initial content, use it as mock content and start editing it. And then, in fact, a lot of companies go about running a check on the content. Like there are so many free tools that tell you that this is AI generated content, and you can go and see that how much of it was human written. So at least do that fundamental edit. And ChatGPT is definitely not going to define a strategy. It is it is like having an additional content writer on your team, but the strategy has to come, the DNA has to come from the top, the point of view has to come from the top. So that is why when you look at SaaS Sprints, the very first headline on the website says that we are here to help SaaS companies that have a point of view. So if you don't have a point of view as to who you are and how are you different from the competition, nobody wants to be a better or a cheaper tool, right? So I don't want to buy a tool because it is cheaper. I want to buy something because I believe that they solve something in a way that I also believe that's how it should be solved. And I believe in that thought process. So, even going back to that example of saying somebody telling me that they'll improve X by 25% is not important. It is important for me to, for them to show how they are different in approaching and getting me the results where I want to be. And that's where the difference is. So yeah, that would be my way of looking at it.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that's it from my side as well. You've shared, amazing insights as usual, like you do in every interaction. Yeah, that's all. I'll give your LinkedIn profile so people can connect with you later if they want to talk more about, these topics. Yeah, you can find the LinkedIn link in the description, and you can also find SaaS Sprints website link in the description so you can check it out. That's all from my side, yeah. Thank you so much. Nice talking to you.
Same here. Thank you so much. Appreciate your conversation as always.
Thanks, yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.